This is Keys to the Shop, episode 442, The Importance of Confidence, Celebration, and Joy. Well, hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Keys to the Shop, where we give you insights, inspiration, and the tools you need to grow as a coffee service professional. My name is Chris DeFirio. I'm your host for the show, and I'm really excited to have you along today for this episode. If you're not familiar with Keys to the Shop, you know, this is a show that is dedicated pretty much to you as a coffee service professional. What I mean by that is if you work in coffee, serving people coffee in the cafe setting, whether you're a barista, a coffee shop owner, an operator, or manager, this show is meant to give you the tools you need to succeed and find fulfillment in this journey of coffee. And, there's about almost 800 published episodes now of Keys to the Shop, and being subscribed to the show is so worth it because we come out with episodes every month, almost 10 episodes every month on a regular basis. And you can get caught up with all of them. If you're subscribed, you can always be up to date with new content. So please do hit the subscribe button, and also please do share these episodes. All it takes is to hit a share button on social media. Let people know about Keys to the Shop as a podcast, as a resource for the global coffee retail community. Thank you so much for doing that. Now, on top of doing this podcast, I also offer consulting and coaching through Keys to the Shop Consulting. And that's primarily where I get to work with you one-on-one to help coach you through either the first coffee shop you're opening or expanding, scaling, refining, bringing excellence to the operations, quality, and people of your existing cafe. I've worked with so many people over the years, and I would love to have a conversation with you if you are looking for somebody to help you as an advisor along the path. Go ahead and email chris@keystotheshop.com. And also the Keyholder Coaching Group, which is a mastermind group of coffee shop owners all dedicated to inspiring one another, accountability, giving insights. It's amazing what's been happening in these meetings over the past few weeks as the inaugural group has kicked off. New groups are going to be opened in March of 2024. And so if you're interested in being a part of these groups with other coffee shop owners, meeting on a regular basis to help solve problems, to help encourage, help with accountability and inspiration, it's really cool. And I'd love for you to email me, chris@keystotheshop.com, if you're interested in putting your name on a list of people who get early access to the application for Keyholder Coaching Groups in 2024. Again, chris@keystotheshop.com. Now, one of the things that we definitely want to focus on in the coffee bar is making sure that the coffee we offer our customers is as good as it possibly can be. But not only that, we need something that is going to be able to be repeatable and is going to be able to be used as a tool to bring profitability. These are the reasons why I love the Ground Control Brewer and why I've been promoting the Ground Control Brewer on this show. It's revolutionized batch brew coffee over the years, but more than that, the extraction technology allows you to make batched concentrates for iced lattes, 8-minute cold brew. These are things that people are using for catering events and for being very productive in their coffee shops while elevating the quality of their coffee. And their guests really do take notice. Now, the new brewer has come out. Ground Control has a new brewer, and it's 45% less in terms of investment than the Cyclops brewer was when you use early bird special pricing. It's only 24 inches high, so it's shorter, but it has 30% higher volume for batch espresso and cold brew concentrates. Plus, it's cloud connected to a smart dispenser that tracks all of your brewing data. So the best brewer out there actually just got better. Go to groundcontrol.coffee to learn more. And I really do think that if you're going to be looking for quality and opening up possibilities for efficiency and profitability in your shop, getting a Ground Control brewer is a really great idea. Again, check them out over at groundcontrol.coffee. Now, the Barista series from Pacific, I have so much love for these folks. They are ultimate partners in the coffee industry with baristas. Pacific's Barista series was created for baristas, and it is created in such a way that no one of those products of the Barista series, they have an extensive lineup, actually make it to market without baristas giving a ton of feedback to the company. And that's why it's a performance beverage. It stands up to the heat from steaming, produces amazing texture for latte art. It also keeps the balance of your plant-based beverages focused not so much on the plant, but on the coffee plant, on the coffee. So there's a great harmony with the ingredients, and that's what your customers are looking for. They want that balance, they want that quality. That's what the Barista Series offers. Go to pacificfoodservice.com and learn more about this amazing product. Get samples and try it for yourself. If you're looking for the best plant-based beverages for your cafe and your customers, then I think you need to be trying the Barista Series from Pacific. Okay, everybody. Well, today I am excited to talk to you about something that I've been thinking about over the course of the last few days. Now, as I'm recording this, it is Monday, actually. And so it's kind of a later recording for Keys to the Shop. And I am thinking about this because I just got back from Coffee Fest in Orlando. And as you know, I've been going to Coffee Fest as a participant, as a judge, as a trainer, and instructor for 20 years now, actually. 2004 was the first time I went, and ever since then I've been involved. And I get to see such a large variety of people at different stages in their journeys. People that just get started over the years, I see them build their businesses, and there's always new folks entering into the space. But when I do training, or when I do, any kind of lectures and workshops, people are coming to those things because they have questions, and they have questions that have been on their mind and on their heart for a long time. And often what I experience is a certain kind of weight, a weight that is saying, I really want this to be solved because it's bothering me. It's bothering me that this is not something that I have a solution for. And I'm hoping, Chris, that you have a solution in your words, in this presentation, in the notes, in the conversations. We're hoping at Coffee Fest, I can find the solutions. This is what we do. We listen to this podcast even. We're thinking, I'm going to tune in to hear what Chris has to say about confidence and celebration and joy and how it relates to my coffee business, and see where that gets me, because we're wanting to improve. And we have this gnawing sense that we could be doing better. And in some ways, it's kind of generalized. And so it feels kind of like, will we ever be free to enjoy our coffee shops, or are we going to be perpetually in this cycle of just I'm always missing something, I'm always having to consume something, and I'm kind of paranoid about that, and that's where my mind has been, is that there is a lot of consternation, if you will. There's a lot of anxiety around operating a coffee shop, and there's a certain level of I'm unsure, I'm a little nervous, there's some stress involved. But anxiety to me is a little bit different, because I think it veers into the territory of catastrophizing, of refusing to let the light side of things in and only focusing on the negative or the lack in the name of the positive, to say, I really do like the positive. I really do like the community and the life and the culture and the, all that stuff. But I have to focus on this bad stuff, because if I don't, it's going to ruin the good stuff. But here's the thing. I think we give so much energy and so much time and space in our minds to the things that we're not doing, or we think we should be doing, and we're not doing right, and we could be doing better, that we forget that there are a lot of things that we are doing well. There are a lot of things that, people will come to me as a consultant, and they'll say, there are things I want to improve. One of the first things that you have to do with people who come to you in this situation, if they're coming to you for help, is not to just beat them down and say, oh my gosh, I can't believe you're doing that. Actually, you need to have a holistic view for them, because likely what they're doing is they're only seeing one side of the equation. And there are a lot of things that are going very well that, if focused on, can give you the energy to properly see the solution to fix the things that may, in fact, in reality, threaten the culture of your baristas, the service to your customers, the quality of your coffee, and all that stuff. And so we operate with this, if nothing is going wrong, then things are going right. But things can only really go right if we are really putting a focus on the right things that are happening. And, think about this. You would not put out on social media with any, expectation of positive return all of the negative things that are happening in your coffee bar. You want to give people a picture of what's happening in your cafe that they'll resonate with, right? And we do this because we know that customers are attracted to the quality coffee. They're attracted to the smiling faces and the beautiful space and the comfortable chairs and, the charity run that we donated coffee to and all of that stuff. And for us, though, it's academic. We put that on social media because we're trying to get this return on the investment. We need people to come into the shop. So we need to, cast that line into the water and say, hey, look at all these great things. But do we actually believe that ourselves? Like, we want customers to be attracted to our businesses, but are we attracted to our businesses? Are we marketing to ourselves the thing that we're doing? People can read our faces. People can read our hearts. And I'm not saying that we have to pretend all the time. What I'm saying is I think we can explore a genuine other side of the coin where running a coffee shop doesn't have to be always the focus on the problems and ironing out the kinks and refining and leveling up and that kind of thing. Of course, we're always going to want to improve, but we don't have to do that in a way that prevents us from also enjoying what has been created. By letting the thing that we know is giving life to others who come and interact with it from actually also giving life to us. I talk about this sometimes. I refer to baristas when they are having a very hard time with, a rush. Maybe they haven't been trained well, and maybe the bar is not set up well, and it's just really everything is hitting the fan. You know what I mean? And so some customers will just not tip because they're like, oh, this is terrible. But there are those customers who would actually tip extra because they feel so sorry for you. It's pity tips, right? And we don't want people to be looking at us and pitying us and giving us this extra emotional energy or feeling like they need to extend extra emotional energy up to us because we are so fragile as operators that they need to boost us up because we're like, oh, woe is me. I'm just a little local coffee shop and we're having such a hard time. Please, please, please buy my lattes. Yeah, okay, fine. People might do that for a little bit, but eventually the emotional burden that mentality places on people will force them to go to a place where the expectation that is on them is simply to go and buy coffee. And so we can't get into this mindset that it's all doom and gloom or it's all anxiety and that there's a nobility in only focusing on the negative. We need to cultivate a mindset that will focus on the light and the positive as well. And I think we need to discipline ourselves to do it just as much as I say we need to schedule and discipline ourselves to follow through on specific affirmation for our baristas. That they only hear from us when it is going poorly is a bad sign. But think about what you're telling yourself in your own head. It's always going bad. There's always something. I'm rolling in and something's going to be wrong. We have that expectation of ourselves that the day is not going to go well. But how can we reverse that? Why is it so wrong to believe something so good is going to happen in the day? I'll tell my son sometimes, it's going to be a great day. Are you excited? It's going to be a good day. Now, part of me does believe that. You know why? Because I also believe that I have spent a long time saying, I anticipate this day is going to be hard because I've had hard days before, right? But it's just as true, and I think just as likely that I can proclaim that this day is going to be a good day, and that my mindset going into it is going to have a lot to do with it. We are more than leaders of other people. We are leaders of the vibe of the space. We are leaders of ourselves. And so that's where I want to talk about the importance of confidence, celebration, and joy. Here in this conversation, we need to focus on first, confidence. Confidence, I think, first is the idea that we know that there is a solution out there for anything that comes our way, which means we can give ourselves the freedom to enjoy the moment as it is without worrying about the moment that will come. You can enjoy the coffee that you're drinking without worrying about, what am I going to brew tomorrow, right? And so you can enjoy your coffee shop today knowing that, 5 years from now, maybe your coffee shop will be different. Maybe you have to update your SOPs and you have to hire some more people. But it's not going to help you to prevent yourself from enjoying what you have now. Those things are not going to be solved by, in the moment, refusing to see the good in what you're doing. You can have confidence in what has been created. Coffee shops are a little miracle. They really are. And yeah, there's challenges that come along the way, but just think about the fact that today in coffee, there is an incredible access to resources to help you find clarity and direction. Think about this, okay? If you're going on a journey and you have a map, looking at the map, which is a resource to direct you, is not supposed to be some kind of an anxiety-laden activity. You have confidence in the map. And the people in the day that I was driving a lot in the 90s, it was all the Rand McNally paper maps. And now, if you use Google Maps or something like that, you have confidence in the map, and the map will help you go where you need to go. And you can enjoy the journey. But I think what a lot of us have done is we've actually cultivated a distrust in the map. We've cultivated this idea that there are no, trustworthy resources out there that will help us get through the challenges of business. That's just not the case. 10 years ago, 20 years ago, there's hardly any resources out there. You didn't have a podcast like this or the other coffee podcasts or books and magazines and articles and other resources to help you. This is ultimately how I feel like we should be confident, but also our confidence can be born not just from the fact that we know we have an ability to find a solution to something that will come up, and we don't need to be so anxious that we shut down. But also, we have built something that has made a difference in people's lives, and we can accept that compliment. Maybe we have a hard time accepting compliments. I think sometimes I do. When people say I do a really good job on something, my immediate response is to downplay it. I feel weird. It makes me feel weird, And I'm working on saying thank you and letting it impact me in a way that's meaningful, because I know they mean it to be meaningful. And when a customer says, I love your coffee shop, in the midst of all the challenges that you have at the top of mind, are you able to let that compliment sink deeply into your soul? And if not, that's the first place we need to look, because that is going to bleed over into other areas of the business where we're just not going to be available as leaders. We have to be able to receive the good that comes from our work, or else what are we working for? So we get dejected because we can't really see the fruit of our labors because we're not looking for it. Maybe we're looking at metrics. Jared Truby just put this out on Instagram as a reel, I think, talking about metrics can't really tell you very much. And we have some episodes in the past talking about the proper place for metrics in the cafe. It's interesting information. I like to say metrics is like trying to explain love using an EKG. The heart's beating. Okay, but that doesn't explain love. The heart's beating, but it doesn't tell you what kind of a life the person is living. It just tells you they're alive. The kind of life that you live using that heartbeat is determined by what you decide to focus on and what you decide to do with your actions. Your confidence entering into this can be born from that focus on what is good. And confidence looks great, even if things are funky and weird, okay? I had a talk this weekend in Orlando on coffee shop design principles. And at the end of it, I said, look, at the end of the day, you're not going to build a bar that you're 100% happy with. Nobody does. Maybe there's like a rare few who get the bar they always wanted. But even I've seen it, millions of dollars spent on a bar. Still, they have the constraint of the building they're working with, and they can't do the thing, But here's where we need to come in and say, look, it might not be perfect, but it's mine. It's ours. And I'm confident, and I'm going to have my head up. I'm going to puff up my chest, and I'm going to look and I'm going to say, this is our coffee bar, and I will welcome you into it. We are excited. That leads us to our next thing. That is celebration. We are going to celebrate the fact that we have built this coffee bar, and we are building this coffee bar. We don't build just once to be done with it. Celebrate the fact that you have entered into this lifestyle of building. Celebrate what you have built. Celebrate the fact that you get to keep building with people. And as you enter in with wide eyes and a bright face, confident and celebratory, that brings people from far and wide to get your coffee, because your coffee is not just coffee. It's coffee that is being served within an atmosphere that people in general, not just coffee shop owners like we're talking about here, but people in general don't afford themselves the things that we're just talking about. It's not just a coffee shop thing. It's a human thing. And that's why these third places, and especially coffee shops, can be places where confidence and celebration is part of what is on tap. And the operator themselves, I think, needs to lead the way to help people be led to that conclusion through their example, through how they treat their baristas, through how they approach the day's challenges, through how they focus on the successes and highlight them and celebrate them. Like they can celebrate the differences in their staff, in their community. They can highlight the things that are happening in their town. Be excited for the coffee. I'm so excited about the little things. We talk about excellence in the things you hate, being great at those things. That's I think it was a shift break we did. There are little tasks that you can use just as points of joy in the day, as almost like a rebellion against our natural default to be beat down by the monotony and the mundanity of the work that we do. We have a choice, and we can choose celebration. We can choose confidence. And you can enter into these environments like Coffee Fest and stuff to acquire knowledge, to better your coffee shop. And with these things in place, have a more balanced approach to it. It makes the solutions that you do find for the problems that you have that much more effective when you're approaching it with confidence, celebration, and all of that leads to joy. I am so excited because not only have I found a solution, but I know it's being given and entering into an environment that I'm excited about. This is going to make our coffee bar even better. Yes. And I have cultivated a love for our coffee bar that inspires me to keep on bringing in things or refining things so that we can continue that journey with others, that story with others. And I want coffee shops to be a place where those who are working in it and those who operate it are enjoying it at least as much as the people who are going there to get coffee, at least, but definitely, ideally, more, to cultivate that joy in the everyday and that confidence, celebration, and joy that we have as operators. And when you think about all of this, imagine 2020 happens, right? And you have been cultivating this for a long time. Wouldn't it have been a different story? Wouldn't your mind have been opened to more solutions if you were not unrealistic? We're not talking about not being serious. We're not talking about being a head in the sand and ignoring reality. But we are talking about having some optimism. We're talking about having that confidence and a celebratory disposition that looks at challenges in a way that is ultimately, we are going to get through this. Whether it's somebody abruptly leaving as a manager in your cafe, leaving you high and dry, or as a pandemic, or the city decided to do some surprise road work outside your cafe and nobody knows you're open, and you really didn't have that much of a runway, and you're scrambling, and what, this is crazy, and I don't know what to do. The stress is going to be there. It doesn't make sense to me to not cultivate these things, because the stress is always going to enter in. And we need to have built up our immune systems and our strength emotionally and our mindsets in order to properly absorb the impact of those things and use them to our advantage. That's what resiliency is. Resiliency is the ability to handle and distribute the force of impact and still be there. And maybe even use that impact as energy. That kind of like a vibranium, we're talking about Black Panther now, apparently, but it absorbs energy and then it can use that energy and release it back as a weapon. Imagine that in the coffee bar. That's you. That's your team. And when you grow that in yourself these dispositions, and you cultivate that in your team, and you smile at challenges more than you furrow your brow, and you accept the imperfections in the moment, knowing that you have confidence that we can do it. We can make it better. It's okay. Ultimately, this gives us patience and grace for growth over the years. And so it's just this thing I saw in so many faces during Coffee Fest, and I have over the years, that maybe you're familiar with, and maybe that's you. You feel this cloud over you that everything is doomed. Everything's going to fail, and that's not the case. It's not predetermined that you're going to fail. You can do it. You and your team and your people. I talked about people that get demoralized in coffee bars. I talked about the fact that people enter into this situation of working in a cafe with morale. Demoralization happens when we do not feed the thing that the morale is based on. It's based on belief that we can do it, that we are going to create something great, that we're going to make a great latte, we're going to have great service, we're going to serve our community, they're going to come in and buy coffee, and we're going to work to do it, and we're going to love the work that we have to do it along the way. But if we cut off from our morale that we enter in, the belief that a barista has that causes them to apply to work in our coffee shops, the belief that we have that this coffee shop we're going to open is going to be great, if we don't continually feed that belief, then we're feeding the opposite. That's where demoralization happens. It's a hard place to be in. And if that's where you are right now, I would say, look, you can start in little ways. Give yourself time to simply meditate on the idea of what can you be confident about? What can you celebrate? What is joyful? What is good? How can you think about that today and allow it to go deep inside of you, and then enter into your day with that as your motivation? Don't let your motivation be the avoidance of disaster, but make it the celebration of the good that you're going to create that day. It's a whole different mindset to use, and it's something that I'm definitely and desperately trying to do in my own life. And I've seen it work enough times that I want to do it more, and I want it for you as well. So as you listen to this podcast and you go to shows and you read books, enter into those things with confidence, celebration, and joy. And as you lead, as you need to make tough decisions, as you do inevitably run into challenges, you're going to be running with these things as assets into that expected resistance. And it's going to make it that much better to go through than if you had never cultivated these things on purpose, little by little, till it just becomes habit, confidence, celebration, and joy. So I hope that this makes sense. I don't know. I really feel this, and I wanted to share it with you. Tell me what you think about it. I really encourage you to reach out. Chris@keystotheshop.com. That's my email. You can also reach out on Instagram. If you don't follow Keys to the Shop on Instagram, it's @KeysToTheShop. You can send me a DM. Let me know what you think about what I'm referring to here. Does it make sense to you? Is it ring true? And I hope that it was helpful. So thanks everybody for joining me. As always, don't forget to subscribe to the show and share these episodes. And I really hope that today's episode has truly given you keys to the shop.